Good morning, or depending when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told, I had a voice radio. So today, we're going to be looking at a very unusual list. And regular viewers will know I am a big fan of unusual lists. This is the Zoroark Bisharp deck list, with which Koch got top 16 at the recent Vancouver Regional Championship. And I am willing to go out there and say that this is a deck unlike any other that I've seen cut pretty much ever, and I am paying attention to all of the big tournaments. Now, it is a Zoroark deck that is primarily built based around the Zoroark from Breakthrough. Now, I should note at this point that yes, Zoroark GX is amazing. It's got the trade ability to draw extra cards, discard one from your hand, draw two, and of course the ridiculous synergy that has with Mallow, which allows you to search for any two cards from your deck and put them on top, so that you can then draw them with trade. And yes, I know that Riotous Beating, as long as you've got a full bench, does 120 for just a double colourless energy. Although there is a strong argument that Alex's deck is really built around non-GX single-prize Pokemon, so maybe adding in a two-prize Pokemon like Zoroark GX would actually have gone against what he was doing and might hurt the deck in the long run. In terms of his tournament performance, it's a moot point. Shining Legends wasn't legal. But in terms of using this deck to go forward, and yes, of course, I'll give you a list at the end, like I always do when I analyse a particular deck list, maybe Zoroark GX would fit in here. But I must caution you, this is a non-GX deck, mostly. Obviously, we've got TAPU LELE because, you know, it's a Pokemon deck. But other than that, it's a non-GX deck. Do you really want to be adding in a two-prize Pokemon, especially one that can be hit for weakness? I'm not 100% sure you do. What you do need, however, is 4 of this Zoroark. And 4 ZORUA, but 4 of this Zoroark. It's amazing. It's got the stand-in ability, meaning you can jump in the active, meaning you never have to worry about your Pokemon being stranded in the active. And then it's got Mind Jack that does 10 damage for a double colourless energy, which is garbage, and 30 more for each of your opponent's benched Pokemon, which is brilliant. Your opponent's got a full bench of 5, you're doing 160, or with a choice band, 190. And as I say on many of my videos, yeah, your opponent can just limit their bench size to try and spite you, fine, but then they're playing in a way that they don't want to try and hurt you. Personally, I am absolutely okay with this. Now, if your opponent has a very small bench, maybe you go for Zoroark Break. Alex certainly did. Alex played free Zoroark Break. It's got foul play. For just a single darkness energy, you get to copy one of the defending Pokemon's attacks. And yeah, it can be a GX attack, although when you copy the GX attack, you also copy the once per game part of it. And in some matchups, this is just frankly ludicrous. Against something like a Tapu Bulu, you can copy their attack, do 180, discarding all your energy, which is just a single energy. If you've got a damaged Pokemon on your bench, you can copy Drampa's Berserk, doing 180, assuming you've got a damaged Pokemon on your bench and a choice band on Zoroark, to do 180 and get a KO on Drampa. In certain matchups, foul play is borderline broken, but that's alright, because we're using it, so who cares if it's a little bit unfair in our favour. And this really is the main attacker in this deck. 4 Zoroark, 3 Zoroark Break, and it's not perfect. Because if your opponent's got a low bench, then Zoroark doesn't do very much. And if your opponent hasn't got a decent attack for you to copy, let's say, and I know it's not a big deck, but for argument's sake, Persimmon. The thing is, when you copy Persimmon's team play, well, that attack is dependent on the amount of Persimmon you've got on your bench, which is going to be very few. Little bit upsetting, although it really is fun to copy Trashalance with Zoroark Break, punishing your opponent for using their own items. Now, although Zoroark is a main attacker, we've got some others. There is a 2-1 Bisharp line here. Now, this makes me really happy. I did a video about Bisharp a little while ago, basically suggesting it could be a good Gardevoir counter. And I think it's fairly obvious that in this deck, It is being used as a Gardevoir counter. We can use Mac Claw, 60 damage goes through resistance if we really want to. We are playing Darkness Energy, but really here it's all about retaliate. 90 damage if one of your Pokemon was KO'd by damage from an attack during your opponent's last turn. That means an ability like Feather Arrow wouldn't activate it. It means something like Poison wouldn't get it. Now, it is a dual type, Metal and Darkness, and I gave this ruling in the Bisharp video. I'm telling you now, it is definitely the ruling. You apply weakness first, then resistance. So with a choice band, you would be hitting Gardevoir for 240 with a metal weakness, except the Darkness resistance comes in and you only hit for 220. You don't actually get a one-hit KO. Which is why Alex played a single copy of DHELMISE. Now, maybe your one Bisharp is prized, maybe your one DHELMISE is prized, but this basically gives you a free one-hit KO against Gardevoir here. That is amazing. Why do you play the 2-1 line? Firstly, so it's more likely you'll draw into a Pawniard early in the game if you need to, and secondly, you bench both the Pawniard, your Bisharp gets KO'd, you play a Rescue Stretcher to grab it from the discard, and then you can just evolve it up straight away, and off you go. Also, 2 promo Tapu KOKO, you're playing double colourless energy. Flying Flip does 20 to all your opponent's Pokemon. It's a single prize Pokemon. So you use Flying Flip for a couple of turns, lower their HP, and then in comes Zoroark to clean up. Free Tapu Lele because it's Tapu Lele. Wonder Tag. Search for any supporter you like. It's quite good in it doesn't have a weakness, but it's bad because it's literally your only 2 prized Pokemon. It really is here for Wonder Tag. I'm not saying you're not going to use the attack ever. I'm saying that most of the time you're not going to want to. 1 Oranguru just to draw some extra cards. Use Instruct to draw cards is nice. And 1 of the promo Giratina. Look, it's a Greninja counter. It means that Greninja Break doesn't have an ability, unless they play a Silent Lab. Oh no, wait! Because Silent Lab has totally rotated. Yeah, it's really good against Greninja. Now, in terms of trainer cards here, for Professor Sycamore, 4N, they are the best consistency cards we've got. They're the best draw supporters we've got. Playing 4 of each is a given in a lot of decks at the moment. N's good for some late game comebacks, give your opponent a small hand, but generally here, you're just drawing a lot of cards. It's what you want to do. Free GUZMA, it's the best gusting effect we've got. Grabbing your opponent's Pokemon from their bench into the active is too good. It gives you a switch, but with stand-in, you're rarely going to need it. 1 Bridget here for the turn 1 Wonder Tag for a Bridget, and then go and grab yourself 3 Zorua, or 2 Zorua and an Oranguru, or whatever you need in a particular matchup. Grab a Pawniard and a DHELMISE if you're against a Gardevoir deck. Either way here, it's really quite useful. Now, if you're only playing 1, that does mean in 10% of games it's going to be prized. Hopefully, you'll be able to draw well enough without it. 4 Ultra Ball because it's the best Pokemon search we've got, quite frankly. So, yeah, gets all your Pokemon. You got to play 4. One day, maybe we'll get a better card to search for our Pokemon, but until then, we've got Ultra Ball. What I really like here, however, is 2 EVOSODA. Now, this is a really good card that we just don't see played very much. But in an evolution deck like this, it's great. You just get to search for a card that evolves from one of your Pokemon on the field, and then evolve it. Doesn't break the rules of evolution. Your Pokemon's got to have been down for a turn before you can evolve it. Really good for searching out Zoroarks and Zoroark breaks and all sorts. It's really cool in a deck like this. 2 Rescue Stretcher because Pokemon Recovery. We're not playing any Super Odd here, we've got enough energy, but we do need to play Rescue Stretcher to get our Pokemon back, especially something like Bisharp where we're only playing 1. Now, I said we're not playing Super Odd for energy recovery, but we are playing 1 special charge, and the reason is very simple. This deck is incredibly reliant on double colourless energy. It's not just Zoroark, although it's mainly Zoroark. We've got Tapu KOKO, we've got Tapu Lele, heck, even Oranguru really likes double colourless energy here. It's really quite cool. You need them back, special charge helps. 1 Field Blower, it can get rid of stuff like Fighting Fury Bout, but you've got quite an ability-focused deck here, with Stand-In and with Oranguru. So, being able to get rid of the tool on a Garbodor to turn your abilities back on, mighty useful, ladies and gentlemen, mighty useful. I don't like only playing one here, but as I say a lot of the time with lists like this, as much as I want an extra field blower, what are you cutting from the list to make room for it? 4 choice band, because doing extra damage is always good. You're playing a non-GX deck, so doing an extra 30 damage to EXs and GXs while you're only giving up 1 prize, really, really nice. And it's numbers here. Like I say, full bench Zoroark hits 160, choice band means 190, you're getting rid of stuff like Turtonator, etc. It's really cool. I love it. And 1 floatstone, because when you stand in with Zoroark, you need to be able to retreat sometimes. Most Zoroark decks play more than 1 floatstone. Here you can get away with 1 floatstone, because Zoroark's your main attacker. So you most of the time just need to stand in, you don't need to retreat. Sometimes you do, that's why we play 1 floatstone. And in terms of energy, 4 double colourless, because you literally can't play more. I'd love to play 5 or 6 in this deck, but you can't. Gutted. And 7 darkness energy, because you know what? It's a darkness focused deck. Most of the time you want to be using double colourless energy, but it's really nice if turn 1 you put a darkness on Zoroark, and then turn 2 you put double colourless on a second one, so later in the game you've got one where you don't need double colourless. Of course it's good for Bisharp and it's brilliant for Zoroark Break. You can get away with 7, that's why you play 7. A lot of turns you're just going to want the double colourless, but the basic energy here is invaluable, especially for Zoroark Break. This is not a deck where you can get away with just playing 4 double colourless. Here is the list in its entirety. I think it's great, and as I've said, I love sharing lists on this channel, but I like to focus on really good lists that have done well, rather than just giving you silly lists, although we're going to go for some of them as well, because, you know, fun times. But let me know in the comments what you think about this. Shout out to Alex Koch for doing so well with the list, and shout out to Limitless TCG, still my favourite place to get deck lists. Thank you to those people, they are lovely. Make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at the Wassy, and Twitch at twitch.tv/PTCGradio. That's where the live action happens. If you want to support the channel, you can do so and get some bonus pods in the process by going to patreon.com/PTCGradio. But by far the most important thing, as always, is to look after yourselves until next time. Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.